This is Kyle Madson, and I had to sneeze, but it went away. This is also Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. The city of Oakland is suing the Raiders and the NFL over the Raiders' move to Las Vegas and the financial impact that it will have on the city. A lawsuit was officially announced yesterday after being threatened since the start of the year. The Raiders still don't know where they'll be playing next season, and owner Mark Davis has said the team won't play in Oakland if the lawsuit is filed. And the Kings are back in action at home tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Our coverage right here on Sports 1140 kicks off with game night at 5:30. Kings Live is at 6:30. Tip-off is set for 7 o'clock. Sacramento enters the game just a half game back of the Blazers and Mavs for one of the final two playoff spots. It's 7 o'clock. Time to put your lights up. If you haven't, Squeaky Clean can. Visit squeakyclean.com.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Wait, what?
Everybody, listen up.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning, morning, morning.
You're gonna talk.
Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
I love our listeners. I truly do. I asked for what conspiracy theory you're willing to entertain, and boy, that is right up the alley for our guys and gals at 441140. You can call us at 1-800-920-1140. Four-quarter territory coming up next, 7:15. We're going to talk basketball instead of football in that segment, and we'll try to get the Kings here. Big Kings talk at 7:35. Scott Bear of the Raiders at 8:05. And Kyle's Cold Hard Facts, brought to you by Coors Light at 8:30. All right, Kyle. I'll start because mine's really simple. The conspiracy theory I would actually entertain, and of course we're talking about NASA reaching out to Steph Curry after he said we didn't land on the moon, and how it's a teachable moment for all. It's JFK. That, for me, is a very believable theory. Just simply that there was more than one shooter. As far as like the government itself and all the crazy, I watched Oliver Stone's JFK a ton of times. A lot of that is a lot of hyperbole and Oliver Stone being Oliver Stone.
Do you read books?
I do.
Have you read 11/22/63 by Stephen King?
I have not.
It's really, really dynamite and a true story about the JFK shootings and a guy who goes back in time to try and stop the shooting. And it turns out it was only one guy because he watched it happen.
I wonder if there's a way you could actually watch that shooting happen and still determine it was only one guy. Like if you're up at the book depository and you're right there.
So hang on. That's in the book. It's obviously not a true story because the guy goes back.
Of course.
But there's all this evidence and all this tracking he does, like this spying, I guess.
Sure.
That Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone.
Lee Harvey Oswald, a Russian agent, had been to Russia, had somehow during the Cold War had gone back and forth with ease. A Russian wife, Marina. There's a lot of weird stuff surrounding that.
You should really read that book. I'm going to get it for you for Christmas. That's going to be your Christmas present.
Oh, now that's spoiled. Thanks.
Welcome.
Now I won't. Now I'll know when I open the present. And the other one.
Or will you?
The other one that I do truly believe is that there was a conspiracy for the Los Angeles Lakers to win the 2002 series versus the Sacramento Kings. And a definition of a conspiracy is just simply more than one person. I don't know if it was an NBA conspiracy. I don't know if it was two refs that had money on it. It was definitely the refs. But that happened. There was some Sam Hinkiness that happened during that series. And all you got to do is go back and watch that Game 6. It's all you have to do. Go back and watch that Game 6.
The conspiracy theory, so the one I just buy into, just based on numbers, like if you really think about it logically, is that there are aliens. Like that's just based on just how much space and planets.
You're saying you believe there's aliens?
Yeah.
Is that a conspiracy theory?
No, so that's what I was saying. Like that, I think is just like a fact.
Yeah.
There are just trillions of stars.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like, I agree. There's got to be life on one of them.
Dude, there's totally aliens.
Okay.
100%.
But the one I buy into is the ancient aliens theory, that aliens came down here and basically planted humans here. Or maybe not planted humans here, but at least assisted humans in kind of getting civilization kicked off.
You're going to get some letters.
That's fine.
That's fine.
It's just fascinating to me.
I've never watched this. So is the process that aliens came and put humans on Earth back in like the BCs?
That's one of them. That's not the one I subscribe to necessarily. But it goes into when you look at different, like even different religions and their origin stories and stuff, and how it ties back into this theory. But the one I'm more into is like, hey, the aliens did the pyramids, like stuff like that.
I can see that,
because just the technology it would have taken to build the pyramids, and the fact that it's like in the direct center of all the landmass
to lift
in
them,
the world, it's pretty wild.
Didn't they like Stonehenge, kind of the same thing? Like, what the hell is Stonehenge?
Yeah. So that's the one. Like, if somebody gave me like direct evidence to the contrary, I'd kind of be like, okay. But that's the one. If you're asking me to buy a conspiracy theory, I'm buying stock in that one.
You hit a vein there with 11/22/63. The text line's blowing up that it's on Hulu. It's got James Franco.
Watched the Hulu series, enjoyed it, but if you can imagine, not as good as the book.
Who has Hulu? I don't have Hulu. Psh, bunch of richies. So rich people with your Hulu subscriptions.
Yeah, you know me.
From the 916, aliens have been here and made contact, but are not among us right now. And the NBA has rigged drafts.
That's right. I don't think they're among us. Actually, Giannis. Giannis might be in it.
Have you ever seen the movie They Live with Roddy Piper, the late Roddy Piper?
No.
Oh. That whole premise of that movie, which still freaks me out, is that there are all kinds of aliens amongst us. But if you put on these special sunglasses, you can actually see their human faces melt away. It's like these crazy alien faces.
Whoa.
And like the world is like the president is an alien and all this stuff.
Interesting. There's a similar movie called Men in Black.
Let's see. Let me clean these up here. Flat Earth, no.
Do you think Tupac's alive?
I don't think Tupac's alive, but I think there's more behind that than just like random shooting. I do buy that.
Yeah, same.
I very much buy that.
I was all the way in on Tupac being alive, but now that all my theories came back to him coming back in like one of these days in the last 10 years, and he hasn't. So
Elvis wasn't alive. Tupac's not alive. I feel like if Tupac was alive at some point, he would have like made a special appearance at a Dr. Dre concert during his Part of California Love. And the crowd would have just gone nuts. Huh?
That's how he comes back?
Yeah, that is how he comes back. You know, the conspiracy theory I've heard a lot about, we're having fun here. This can be kind of offensive to some people, to be honest, but I've heard a ton about it, was that the NFL rigged the Super Bowl for the Patriots to win the year of 9/11. I hear that all the time. I just don't see, I don't know how you would do that.
No, and that's where, like, rigging a game like that takes so many people, and that's what a lot of these conspiracies come down to, right? Is like, dude, the amount of people that it would take to execute and then cover up this conspiracy is way too many. Like, an NBA trade can't even happen without somebody telling Woj.
Right.
You think that the NFL rigged up and down all these games so the Patriots could win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, no.
And they had it come down to what? Vinatieri had to kick like a 47-yarder. What if he shanks it?
Right. There goes your conspiracy.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Yankees played in the World Series that year, and I believe lost to the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, in 01, yeah.
Magic Johnson doesn't have HIV and was forced out to clear the way for Michael Jordan? No. Sorry.
Ooh, the Michael Jordan played baseball
to cover up the gambling suspension. That's a Bill Simmons special. Yeah. I don't know. I do feel there was more there. There was more there than that. The one that seems super silly to me, but the more and more I hear about it, the more evidence I see. Like, can I say that I 98% don't believe this? But the fact that there's 2% is really, really crazy. Have you heard the conspiracy that Stevie Wonder can actually see?
Yes.
And have you seen the videos?
I'm all the way in.
Okay, like, I feel like that's so horrible to even think about. Like, why would you do that? Like, why would you purposely I can't imagine being blind. And the things that I see, the things that here we go. I had a this sounds so stupid. I had a blind
Oh no! Oh,
I just
no,
know how dumb it sounds coming out of my mouth.
Yeah,
I had a blind friend when I was. I'm laughing because that's what everybody does. I had a blind friend.
Right. You're laughing at your qualifications.
Right, exactly.
There.
But the reason I bring that up is because I was front and center to see all the things he would do that amazed me without sight.
Right.
And it really is true. Your senses completely go crazy awesome when you lose one of them. I don't know why somebody would choose that, which is why I don't believe it. But, dude, I've seen some of the video evidence.
If I lost my sight, I wouldn't leave the house. I am not close to, like, smart enough or coordinated enough to function.
I completely agree. I'm with you 100%, which is why I have so much respect. But, dude, there's video out there, and it's compelling of Stevie.
And the real thing behind that, now I'm in your exact same camp.
Mm-hmm.
The real thing behind that is when you have been without sight for so long, like you start to just understand the world and how it operates. So when he looks at somebody, it's because he knows, like, hey, this person is here. Like, I know this person is going to be here. Right. And so that's where when people talk about, like he looks at people when they're talking to, the one that really gets me is when he caught the falling mic stand.
Caught the falling microphone. I saw that. Like, come on.
But again, I'm sure there was something touching him or something happened that made him feel that something was happening, so he just kind of reacted.
But you have, like, anecdotes from other celebrities talking about, like, he would talk about their outfits and stuff like that, like the colors.
Maybe it got described to him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's one of those things where if you take enough things out of context and you put them together out of context, it's something. I just find it extremely hard to believe. I find it almost impossible to believe that somebody would be able to keep that up for their entire life and would voluntarily want to do that.
But that's one of those things, like, it would take one person. Right. Like, it's only him. He just needs to know.
Right. I mean, that's the one, like, I hear it, and there's, like, that part of me that's like, really? Like, let me watch this video. What? Oh, and then I'm ashamed. Oh, Steph, we landed on the moon, dude.
I'm all the way in on we landed on the moon.
Okay.
However,
we'll take a break. Four-quarter territory is next, and then a good solid amount of Kings and T-Wolves tonight. I got a lot of Kings stats for you that I pulled a Kyle Madson, and I did my own research last night, went on a stat spree.
Man, I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. The problem when I do that, though, is, like, probably half of them are wrong. But I tried, and I'll share those with you next at 7:35. Next, four-quarter territory, Sports 1140 KHTK. Doing four-quarter territory today, middle of the week. We'll do that sometimes instead of football. Whether it's four down or four-quarter, all territory is brought to you by Fire Wings. 21 different flavors to choose from. Firewings.com. Just wing it. Kyle, first quarter.
Are the Warriors back up to speed?
Yeah, they are. And I bring this up because we play the Warriors Friday. They play Toronto tonight. Is that correct?
They do play tonight.
That'll be interesting.
Stand by.
Toronto on the Segababa, as the bloggers say, second game of a back-to-back. The Warriors are 19-9. The Warriors are 12-2 at home. The Warriors have won 4 in a row. The Warriors have won 7 of 10. The Warriors have Steph Curry back. The Warriors have Draymond Green back. The Warriors will have DeMarcus Cousins back. Probably, my guess, sometime around the first of the year, give or take a few days. Yeah, dude. Hope you got them early.
They're back to shooting 45-plus threes a game, which is something they kind of got away from. And it was weird. Like, you would see Clay like pass up an open three to dribble 2 steps inside the line and take a 19-footer. And that's just not an efficient offense, and that's not where they thrive.
No.
So they're back to shooting threes, and I think that's what's going to get them rolling again.
They might sputter a little bit, I imagine. By sputter, I mean lose 2 of 5, 3 of 7 when DeMarcus comes back, because that's a lot to work in, and I'm sure he'll be on a minutes restriction at first. But they're back, dude. They're back, and it's they're in a virtual tie with the Thunder for first in the Western Conference. I don't think they're going to look back.
They were back. It was even before Draymond returned, where they played the Bucks, went up big. The Bucks kind of creeped back into it, and then the Warriors pulled away in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
and the Bucks killed them in Golden State earlier this year, and so that was when it was apparent to me that they were back on the right track.
Second quarter.
Second down.
We'll get this eventually today. What team has surprised you the most this year in a good way?
I'm going to defer on the Sacramento Kings because that's too easy. I'll go with the Dallas Mavericks, really. I will go with the Dallas Mavericks. Please believe me when I say this isn't a Luka thing. I'm just going to talk about the Dallas Mavericks as a whole. The Mavs are 14-11. They're 12-2 at home. That's pretty darned interesting to me. The Mavs, you could say, Memphis is a nominee, but didn't we say last year, even over the summer, hey, if they get Mike Conley back, if they're healthy, they're a good team. They were just decimated by injuries. I would also say maybe the Clippers. I don't think many people expected them to be 17-10 at this point. Toronto doesn't surprise me. Milwaukee doesn't really surprise me. I don't really see much in the East that surprised me as far as, oh, my God, I didn't think they'd be this good. So I'm going to say Dallas. It's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, it's the Kings for me. I know that you deferred on that, but I think if you took a poll of NBA fans, I think the Kings would be at the top or one of the top 2 or 3 good surprises of the year.
I think so.
And it's just not even that they're winning, but it's how they're winning. I think they're probably a year or 2 ahead of where I thought they would be. And they've proven, at least to me, that this is a sustainable run they're on, and they're just taking steps forward.
Well, we'll have more on that, and that's some of the stats I was looking at last night coming up at 7:35, which is in about 10 minutes. Third quarter.
Third down.
Nope.
Sorry if I stepped on your...
Hey, no. I deferred. It would have been too easy for me to say the Kings.
Right. What team has surprised you the most this year in a bad way?
I don't think there's a question here. The Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
I am baffled. I understand we can look at some things and be like, well, Chris Paul's been a little bit hurt, and they really missed Trevor Ariza. No, dude, they're 12-14.
They were a Chris Paul injury away from winning the finals last year.
That is absolutely correct. And remember, last year, they were blowing everyone away. They lost Ariza. Ryan Anderson? I'm trying to think. Is there one other?
Luke Richard and Batamute.
Okay. They won 65 games last year, Kyle.
Won 65 games, and like you said, won a lot of those in convincing fashion.
Let me do some math here. 82 minus 26. That's 12, 6, 7, 6. Okay, so 56 games left.
Perfect.
They would have to.
Okay. This is good.
All right,
He's working
ready?
really hard.
Ready?
Yeah.
In order to match their record from last year, the Rockets would have to go 53-3 to finish the year. They had 17 losses all last season. They have 14 right now. They would have to go 53-3.
That's unbelievable. It's Boston for me.
Yeah,
I know
okay.
Boston isn't. They're not bad. They're
Right.
16-10. But I thought Boston was going to push like 70 wins. I thought they were going to be just an outstanding team that the narrative all year was going to be they're going to give the Warriors a better fight than the Cavs did in the finals. And they have not looked good. And Brad Stevens has not done a great job of figuring his rotations out early. But there's still a lot of time. We may still get there. But through 26 games, I thought the Celtics would have 25, or not 25, but 22 or 23 wins.
They're 16-10. They've won 6 in a row, but still 16-10. Is Brad Stevens a system coach? Maybe we'll talk about that later.
Brad Stevens on the hot seat.
Fourth quarter.
Fourth down. Fourth down.
Hey, Dave.
What?
The Kings and Timberwolves play tonight. Who do you have winning that one?
Okay, so let's look at it. The line, which probably surprises a lot of people, the Timberwolves are actually favored in this one, despite being 13-14, which is worse than 14-12. That's the Kings' record. The Wolves are favored by 2.5. This is a trap game if you ever saw one. Anytime you have a home game after a long road trip, that will, not anytime, but oftentimes be difficult for the home team. The Kings can certainly win this game. There's no doubt about it if they play Kings basketball, and I know that sounds that's a cliche. But it's true. If they play Kings basketball, if the crowd is into it and they're making their shots, they can win. But it is the first game back from a 4-game road trip. I'm going to say 141-70 Timberwolves. Okay, fine.
You're really
149-72 Timberwolves.
I have the Kings winning this one, but in a close game. Give me Kings 123, Timberwolves 119. 123-119. Final answer.
Over under in this game's 228.5.
Yeah, I'm going over.
Yeah, that would be the over.
I'm going over and the Kings to cover the 2.5 points.
Well, blame Kyle, everybody. Blame Kyle. We'll take a break. Maybe 138-77. Maybe I'm being too hard on Sacramento.
Can we go to break?
When we come back, we will talk about that game tonight. I also have some stats for you as well. And here's a question for you. We've talked about De'Aaron Fox. We've talked about Marvin Bagley, or we've talked about a lot of the good players. Buddy Hield. Who's the most underrated player on the Kings this year so far?
Nemanja Bjelica. Okay,
well, I would like to do a topic next segment.
Oh.
And you just ruined the whole thing. Because now everyone's going to say Nemanja Bjelica. Probably not. Pick somebody else. Nemanja Bjelica is off the board.
You know who's not underrated?
Let me think. Is it somebody that can help me save money?
Boy, is it. It's time to call your local Geico agent, Vince Harris, at 916-923-5050. That's 916-923-5050.
Back in 3 with Kings Talk on Sports 1140 KHTK.
This is Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. The city of Oakland is suing the Raiders and the other 31 NFL teams over the Raiders' move to Las Vegas and the financial impact that it will have on the city of Oakland. A lawsuit was officially announced yesterday after being threatened since the start of the year. The Raiders still don't know where they're going to be playing next season, and owner Mark Davis has said the team won't play in Oakland if a lawsuit is filed. And the Kings are back in action at home tonight. They welcome in the Minnesota Timberwolves. Our coverage on Sports 1140 begins with game night at 5:30. Then it's Kings Live at 6:30. Tip-off with the G-Man is set for 7 o'clock. Sacramento enters the game just a half game back of the Blazers and Mavs for one of the final 2 playoff spots at 7:33. Time for Squeaky Clean to clean your gutters. Visit squeakyclean.com. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
It's The Drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Scott Bear will join us at the top of the hour. We'll talk Raiders, both on the field. They got a win last week against Pittsburgh. It was a big win. And we'll also talk about this lawsuit followed by the city of Oakland against the Raiders and what that means for them and where they will play next year. Kings Talk right now. You can text us at 441140, brought to you by Jiffy Lube, or call us at 1-800-920-1140. All guests and your calls via the Fire Wings hotline. 21 different flavors to choose from. Firewings.com, just wing it.
21 delicious flavors and now a delicious chicken sandwich.
Available at Howell Avenue only, as I understand. I had a couple people yesterday text me or tweet me saying, hey, I went into XYZ store and I couldn't get the chicken sandwich. The best of my knowledge right now, it's just at the Howell Avenue location. So I don't want to mislead everybody. Coming soon to a location.
Strongly encourage you to go check one out.
Make the pilgrimage to Howe Avenue.
Yeah.
Check out that Nashville Fire Chicken Sammy. It's good. It's good. Want some stats?
I love stats.
I looked all these up myself on the internet.
Why did I say that like that? I don't talk like that.
Some of them are easier than others. The Kings are one of only 7 teams in the NBA that are above 500 at both home and on the road.
I thought you were going to say the Kings are one of 7 teams in the NBA.
And that's it.
Okay,
That's the whole
next.
stat. Yeah, they contracted quite a bit. See you later, Atlanta. Only 7 teams in the NBA above 500 at home and on the road. Now, the Kings have also played the 9th toughest schedule in the NBA. But here's what's interesting. Only 3 teams with tougher schedules have better records: Milwaukee, Memphis, and Portland. But all 3 of those have played less road games than Sacramento. Sacramento's played 15 road games and 11 home games. So remember, strength of schedule, just on the surface, is opponent's win-loss record, win percentage. But going a little bit deeper, obviously it makes a difference if you're playing a 500 team at home as opposed to on the road. So, yeah, according to percentage, the Kings have played the 9th toughest schedule in the NBA, but it's actually tougher than even that when you factor in for home and road advantages. Talk about being kind of screwed over by location, not just being in the Western Conference, but the Pacific Division is the only division in the NBA with 4 teams over 500. That means, you have the Suns in there, and they're the worst team in the NBA, so I can't exactly say the Pacific Division is the toughest division in the NBA. But it ain't easy. And the Kings right now at 14-12, get this, the Kings at 14-12 would be in the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. But right now they're out of the playoffs in the 9th seed in Sacramento, or in the Western Conference. Here's one. The Oklahoma City Thunder are currently the number 1 seed in the Western Conference at 17-8 by mere percentage points over the Golden State Warriors. They're in a virtual tie. But the Thunder are currently the 1 seed in the Western Conference at 17-8. 25% of their losses have come to the Sacramento Kings, who are, of course, 2-0 versus them this year. Show me the lie. No team in the NBA has more players on their roster acquired through the draft than the Kings. They have 8. No team in the NBA has more first-round picks on their roster than the Kings, who have 12. And even counting Zach Randolph, who is in his mid to high 30s and has not played a second for the Kings this year, they are the 7th youngest team in the league. If you don't count Zach Randolph, I think they're somewhere around 3rd. Now, how about that? I say that just because I was looking, and, you hear it. They haven't played anybody. What's their signature win? Okay. Well, they've played who they've played. They've played who's in front of them, and who's been in front of them happens to be there are 21 other teams that have easier schedules so far than the Kings. And really, like I said, more than that when you factor in road and home. They've played 14 road games. They've played 11 home games. And not even counting that, they have the 9th toughest schedule in the NBA. I think that's very, very impressive. They take on the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight at Golden One Center, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip, right here on the Sporty 1140. Minnesota traded Jimmy Butler the night after they played the Kings last time, and they proceeded to win 3 in a row, lose 2 in a row, win 4 in a row, and really win 6 out of 7. They're currently on a 2-game losing streak. They have lost both games on this road trip. At Portland, 113-105, and at Golden State, 116-108. Robert Covington did not play against the Blazers. I don't think he played against the Warriors either. I know he's hurting right now. When Derrick Rose starts, He's averaging 29.2 points a game.
What's he averaging if you take out his 50?
Yeah, I don't know. You want me to do the math right now?
Yeah.
I already did that earlier.
I'm on it.
1-800-920-1140 is your phone number. Hello, Dean.
David.
Dino.
It's been a while, my friend.
How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Good.
Good.
Hey, I just wanted to chime in. Not a big deal, but Kings fans, we have a great young team. It's getting better. Obviously, a surprise this year. It's like people forgot the last 10 years of Kings basketball. I mean, right now it's a great time, and the team's playing well. And people are acting like, oh, well, they got a winning record, but they still need blank. I mean, maybe we should be enjoying the ride a little bit. I mean, they're fun to watch. I mean, Northern California doesn't get any better right now. You got the Warriors are obviously in the middle of a dynasty there. University of Nevada is number 6 or 7 in the country, and you got the Kings playing decent basketball. I mean, what more could you ask for?
What if you had to point to it? Because it's not that I disagree with you. I'm just curious what has happened or is happening to make you frustrated with that? What are you seeing or hearing that's frustrating you? Is it Twitter? Is it the papers?
Well, I mean the Twinkosphere is a little out of control, but that's the medium. You're going to get every guy in bunny slippers who's commenting on that, me included. I get on that.
What's wrong with bunny slippers?
Not a damn thing.
I feel attacked.
No, I got my zebra ones on right now, so I'm good to go.
Well,
but I just, the Kings started out there. I mean, it was a shock. I never thought they were going to be this good yet, and they're playing well. And the thing about them is they play hard. They're not doing some of the things that some of the Kings teams. I mean, weren't that good. So, but they stay in games, and they go through stretches where they play like a young team. But man, they keep playing, and that's all. For me personally, that's all. I mean, I want to win. Don't get me wrong, but I certainly, for the money you pay to go to a game, I want to see effort at least. And they give it to you. The guys are playing. It's fun to watch.
I agree. I'll go a step further with what Dean said, and this is always controversial, but I'll just say it. The Sacramento Kings made the playoffs in 1995-96, and they lost in the first round. They had a 2-season stretch where they did not make the playoffs until that 98-99 year, the shortened year due to the lockout, and that's the year that they lost to the Jazz 3-2 in the first round. They were 27-23 that year. There were only 50 games played that season. Many of you listening right now will not remember that, but many of you will. So I'm going to ask the people that do remember that year to go back. The Kings were 27-23. I remember, and I've told this story before, being at a Mark and Monica's in Carmichael, a pizza place, and when the final buzzer sounded, the entire room, they'd opened up like a banquet room. The entire room gave the Kings like a standing ovation. By the way, the Kings couldn't hear them because we were at a pizza place in Sacramento. The entire room gave them a standing ovation. This place was on fire, and it was a sign of things to come. That was the year, that was the series where the Kings got absolutely blown out in Game 1 at the Delta Center. They were going to get swept, then they came back and won Game 2. That was the year that Chris Webber threw the block, the hip check on John Stockton to kind of announce that the Kings were serious and weren't to be toyed anymore. A lot of us glommed onto that. But my point is this, Kyle. There was a two-season moratorium on playoffs, and then they made it against the Jazz. Their winning percentage, to put it in perspective, was .540. It has been since the 2006-2007 season. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 seasons since the Kings last made the playoffs. Their winning percentage right now is .538. 2 percentage points, 200ths, 2,000ths, tenths, thousands below their winning percentage in 98-99. So here's something for you. The level of excitement in this town over this team isn't even in the same hemisphere.
Yeah.
It's not even close, bud, to what it was in 98, 99. Now, I'm not calling out Kings fans. Let me be clear here. There is definitely excitement. And there's people right now listening that are screaming, what are you talking about? I'm talking about, if anybody remembers that year with Jason Williams as a rookie, Chris Webber coming over, everything being brand new, Rick Adelman, Vlade Divac, Peja waiting in the wings. Hito hadn't even shown up yet. This town was insane. I don't know why it is this way, because it's been a longer drought since they made the playoffs. They're winning at the exact same clip, but for some reason, people are excited, but they're not ridiculously excited like they were.
I have two things on that.
Mm-hmm.
One, I think that there are a lot of people who want to be excited who are just a little gun shy.
Sure.
Based on the lack of success that they've had and just kind of all the things that have gone wrong.
That's fair.
I understand they had a lack of success prior to, what'd you say, 96? No, 98. 98, 99. They had a lack of success prior to that. But they hadn't had the bottom fall out so many times like we've seen over the last decade.
So
plus.
you think it's a lot that the Kings fans are, like you said, gun shy?
Yeah, and then there's also this thought I just had as you were explaining that the avenues to watch games are
so
much more vast now.
You're correct.
So your congregations of people aren't probably going to happen until the playoffs. Like, you'll start seeing downtown is going to be insane. Even when the Kings are on the road, like downtown for watch parties will be crazy. But you're not going to see that in December. And I think that anybody thinking that this is that's how, I think people might be misremembering a little bit. Like, it's gotten romanticized.
You mean from back in 98, 99?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I am
because I see a lot of people who are super stoked about the Kings.
I do too. We also, please keep in mind, we also work, and our environment and our worldview is surrounded by Kings. We work at the station that broadcasts the Kings.
That's
we
true.
deal with Kings fans on Twitter. You know, another interesting thing, again, this is a slippery slope because I think Kings fans are the best in the world. And
they're really terrific.
I'm not one to call anyone. I'm just pointing stuff out that is interesting to me. The Kings are currently 21st in the NBA in attendance. That's unheard of. 21st in the NBA in attendance. Kings right now averaging 16,508. But more importantly, it's about capacity. Capacity at the game is 94%. That's where they're at, 94%. Even when you look back at the Maloof years, I mean, the worst it really got was probably 2012. They were 27th, 14-5, and there was different true capacities there. 13-7 in 2013. Now, again, please understand, this isn't me. I can't qualify this any more than I am. This isn't me saying, what's wrong with you, Kings fans? Kings fans are bad. Where are you? I am not saying that. I am putting it out there, and I would like to hear why. If there's something you could put your finger on. Are you gun shy? Are tickets too expensive? Is it parking? Is it that, like Kyle said, which I think is very true, there's just way too many ways to watch games, and with the advent of 70-inch screens that most people have in their house, 55 to 70 inches, and high def and 4K and all that, and is it just the natural progression? Is it that many people got rid of their season tickets because going into this year, this team was supposed to suck, and now they're just buying game to game, and it hasn't caught up? Remember, the Kings have only played 11 home games. Only the Rockets and Celtics have played 11 or more home games. The Jazz have only played 10. I just would like to know, A, if other people see that the same way that we're around, that it just doesn't seem like the buzz is there like they were when they were winning the same amount of games in 98, 99. And B, what, if you notice that, help me out. I want to know why it is that way for you. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140, except for the 339 part. Throw that out. We're not using that number right now. 1-800-920-1140. Hello, JT.
JP.
Oh, JP,
I'm sorry.
I was a
16-year-old kid.
JP, well, hold on a second. Oh, JP, what's up, man?
Oh, man. I worked at a Papa Murphy, so we didn't cook the pizza, and it was still like an hour wait, and our doors were slammed. And I remember ABC 10 News came in, and people were waiting over an hour for their pizzas.
Well, because
old days.
And did you guys have the NBA League Pass? Do you remember?
We didn't. You don't let us have TVs. We'd never worked then.
Gotcha.
But I remember it. We had it on the radio,
Mm-hmm.
1140 all the time, and people would wait an hour for a non-cooked pizza, line around the building, and I miss those days. So like, I get mixed up because the hype is not now because we're waiting for it. When it first hit, we were just super excited, and everybody was like, "What is this? The Kings, they're actually winning?" Where now we've tasted it, we've been through the slumps. I think we dominate. We do like we're doing this year. I think next year is going to be crazy.
I listen. If the Kings were to make the playoffs this year, I think you would have lines out the door. Don't get me wrong there. I don't even think we'd have to wait till next year. Hey, Mike, you're on the drive.
Yo, what's going on, Dave? Hey, man, I'm around the same age, maybe a little younger, so, I remember that time very fondly. And you're right. Like, it was crazy. Remember after game 2, they probably have like 1,000 people at midnight at the airport
yes.
for that team to come back. Like, it was crazy.
Yes.
It was a crazy time. But there's a couple things that go into it. Number one, I think in general, I think the city's just kind of grown up a little bit. For better or for worse. Like, it's a different place than it was. What was that, probably 15 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's a different place. That has one thing to do with it. Basketball-wise, I feel like at that time you had Jason Williams, who was a rookie, and he was, he took the world by storm at that time. But you also had an established vet like Chris Webber, an established vet like Vlade Divac, and it seemed a little more sustainable. Right now it may be looked at, the young guys are playing over their head. It's fun, but they're still 20 years old. Like, how much is this going to hang up? So it kind of what Kyle said, it kind of makes you a little hesitant to jump all the way in because you never know when these young guys are going to come back down to earth a little bit. But I do want to say one more thing. I think it's still there. And when they, if they make the playoffs, obviously. But one reason I think it's still there with this team and the city just going crazy the way it is Dave, you saw it firsthand for the draft party and how crazy that day was. And, all over the city, packed houses just to watch a draft party. You know what I'm saying? So I think really if this team can get, maybe past December into mid-January and they're still here, I think people will be like, okay, they're for real. And they'll come out and they'll fill them places up the same way.
I appreciate you, Mike. That's a good call. That's a really good call with a lot of really good points there. And I think it's a common theme, whether it's expense, whether it's the access at home, and then a lot of people like this guy at 441140 saying because Kings fans are badly wounded and we're afraid to love again. I hear you.
That makes sense. That totally makes sense.
I'm going to go in order of how long y'all have been on hold. I want to get to everybody here. James, you're on the drive. Hello, James.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, yeah, I have to agree with that last caller, too, on many of his points. I want to let you know why I don't go first to the arena very often, and that's because I just think that, you had stats on, the attendance, but what are the stats on, ticket prices and how high they've gone with fees and everything? And second, why I can't go is a little bit of the same. The glory days were about 15 years ago. I'm in my late 30s now. I have a family, and it's just time. Time is more difficult, and we just don't have those younger fans who are really rabid like I was in the early 2000s. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I want to get some numbers on this. From what I understand, the Kings are around the middle of the pack. NBA ticket prices 2018-19. Let me get to another call here, and then we got a break. Hey, Joseph.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, brother. How are you?
Doing well. Hey, I agree with the first two guys, and I don't want to bash the new arena because I love it. It's amazing. But I think at the same time, I think a lot of people are still trying to get used to the fact that it's downtown, and there really isn't, a designated parking zone for it. So to me, I think that deters some people. Because me personally, my cousin had season tickets the first season they were here, and I went to about 12 games that season. I think I went to 2 games last season, and I haven't gone to any yet this season. I don't know. I guess the motivation just quite isn't there yet, or we're still not used to it. That tailgating feel that was at the old arena, where people were able to gather before the game. So I think it's just a matter of getting used to the new arena.
I think that's also a lot of good points from all of you today. That's another one too. Why have we not adopted public transit more, light rail? I know Uber and Lyft operate around there. I think some people still are intimidated parking in a parking garage. We'll take a break, and I see you guys on the line. We've got almost full phone lines at 1-800-912-1140. Greg, Scott, if you guys hold through the break, I'll get you before Scott Bear. One list I've looked at, I don't have average prices in front of me, but based on last year, this is interesting, Kyle. They average ticket price, average cost per win. They have it ranked there for teams. Oof. New York Knicks are paying, what is this, average secondary market price. New York Knicks are most expensive at $10.18 per win. The Sacramento Kings are 7th in the NBA. That's not great. But we knew ticket prices were going to go up a little bit. You get what you pay for.
Hey, it's time to call your local Geico agent, Vince Harris, at 916-923-5050. That's 916-923-5050.
We'll take a break. When we come back, I'll finish up with your phone calls, and we'll get to Scott Bear talking Oakland Raiders next on The Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK.